Welcome to our video lesson on frequency tables and dot plots. The first thing I need you to do is turn to your learning goal sheet, please, and we're going to talk about today's learning goal. Our learning goal for today is learning goal number 7. It is to create and analyze dot plots. Please highlight, circle, or underline the words dot plots because that's the key word in today's learning goal. Then think about dot plots. Do you know what a dot plot is? Have you heard of it before? If you know a little bit about it, think about how much you know and then circle your before level of understanding. After you've done that, you're going to take your note from today and glue it into your notebook, please. Then you're ready to get started. To start, we're going to talk about frequency tables. You need to fill in this definition of frequency tables on your guided note. A frequency table is a table that lists each item in a data set with the number of times the item occurs. And that lists with the number of times the item occurs. Okay, I've got two examples of frequency tables here. They both show very different things. The first thing shows the type of pets that 6th graders have. So quickly by looking at our frequency table, you can see that there's 12 6th graders that have dogs, 3 that have rabbits, 1 that has a snake, and 3 that have budgies. So that's one type of frequency table, where you have a type of pet written over here. The next one is math test grades. So you can see the score or the grade students got on the math tests, and then the number of students who got that score over here. So in this table we can see that 8 students got 76% on their test. Now we're going to make a frequency table. The first thing I need you to do is write down your steps. However, I need you to cross out on your note, cross out your step number 1, and instead of filling in the blanks, you're going to write what I'm going to write up here. So you're going to write to find, there we go. So you're going to make it so that your page looks like this. Instead of having your step 1, you're going to put a line through it like we did before, and then you're going to write this part right here. So step 1 is find the smallest and largest numbers and set up the first column. Copy that down, and then now we're going to talk about what that means. We're going to make a frequency table about the times, what time families have dinner. So we have a group of families and they have dinner at 5, 6, 7, and 8 it looks like. For step number 1, you need to find your smallest and largest numbers, okay? So our smallest number is 5 and our largest is 8. And then it says set up the first column right here. What I mean by that is setting up this column right here in your frequency table. For us in this one, it's already done, but in future ones, you'll have to do it yourself. You're going to write your smallest number, so in this case 5, as the first number here, and the largest one at the end. Then you need to write every single number between 5 and that number in the rest of your table. So here we just have 6 and 7. And then we're done. Step 1. Step 2 is make a tally of each data item. What that means, so we're going to go through our data, and every time we see that number, we're going to put a tally in our tally section. So our first number is 5, and I've already made our tally, so I'm going to cross it off. Then we have 7, so I put a tally in 7. 6, 6, 8, 7, 6, 6, 8, 7, 5, and 5. Now we're done with step number 2. Then step number 3, total your tallies. So your totals go in your frequency section here. We have 5 3 times, there's 3 tallies. 6 we have 4 times, 7 we have 3 times, and 8 we have 2 times. And that's it for our frequency table. Step 3 is done. Let's do one more example. You have these 3 questions, to do on your page, and we're going to do the first one together. You need to then do numbers 2 and 3 on your own, please. Let's do number 1 though. Okay, instead of saying, so it says, step number 1, find your smallest and largest numbers and set up your table. So let's look at our data. Days in each month. What's the smallest one you see? The smallest one I see is 28, and the largest is 31. This chart here shouldn't say time, it should say days in each month. And then we're going to write our smallest number, 28. And then we need to write all the numbers between 28 and 31. So we've got 28, 29, 30, and 31. Some of you might be wondering why we wrote 29. You don't see a 29 in our data set, but it's still important that you write it so that it has a frequency of 0, so that you can see that. Now step number 2, we are going to make a tally of each item. So 31, we'll cross it out and tally it down here, then 28, 31, 30, 31, 30, 31, 31, 30, 31, 30, 31. Alright, now we write our number for our frequency. We have 1 month with 28 days, 0 months with 29 days, 4 months with 30 days, and 7 months with 31 days. And that's it for our frequency table. Please pause the video now, and you're going to do numbers 2 and 3 on your own in your notebook. When you finish those, you're going to click play again and learn about dot plots. Alright, dot plots are a different type of display. A dot plot is a graphical display of data using dots to represent each data point on a number line. Make sure you fill in that definition. So you've got a graphical display of data using dots to represent each data point on a number line. Okay, let's look at this example here. This graph down here, this plot, is showing the number of books read by 6th graders so far this year. Each one of these dots represents a 6th grader and how many books they've read. So from here we can see that one 6th grader has read 6 books, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 6th graders have read 3 books. That's the purpose of the dot plot, just display your data in a visual way. Okay, let's look at creating one. We have 3 steps in creating a dot plot. Step 1 is to organize your data by making a frequency table. Awesome, we already know how to do that. We did that before. We're going to do it together now with this data over here. This data talks about the number of goals scored during a season for each member of a soccer team. And then we have a whole bunch of numbers here. I had an extra data set number in mind, so I just blacked it out so it's not going to change our data. Alright, so we need to make our frequency table. Let's start by finding our smallest number. We need our smallest and our biggest. So it looks like the smallest one is 0 and the largest is 5. So we're going to set up our first column by writing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're done. That's the first step. Next step is to tally our numbers. So 0, 0, 0, 5, 2, 5, 3, 1, and 4. Oh wait, on yours you don't have a 3. So let me just box that out there, and I'm going to erase this 3. But otherwise we're good to go. Okay, now we need to find our frequency. So for 0 we have 3, 1 we have 1, 2 we have 1, 3 we have 0, 4 we have 1, and 5 we have 2. Okay, now we're done step 1, making our frequency table. Step 2 is look over the data and set intervals. What does that mean? We're going to make our dot plot on this line down here. We need to look through our frequency table data and figure out what numbers are going to go along the bottom of our line. Well, it looks like we need numbers between 0 and 5. It's really important that you set them evenly spaced across the line. So I'm going to write 0 here, and then about a centimeter later 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I suggest with your in your notebook when you're making these, you use a ruler just to make sure they're about the same distance apart. So now we've got our intervals set. Then step 3, place a dot to represent the data. So we're actually going to put a dot above each goal, each number, to represent how many players scored that many goals. So we have 3 players who scored 0. So that means that we're going to put 3 dots, 1, 2, 3, above our 0. Then we have 1 player who scored 1, so we put 1 dot there. We have 1 player who scored 2, so 1 dot there. None who scored 3, so we don't put anything over the 3. 1 who scored 4, and 2 who scored 5. Now we're done writing the dots. The last thing you have to remember to include is a title. So I will say number of goals scored per player. And now we're done creating our dot plot. We're going to do one more example. Again, you have 3 examples that you need to do. We'll do this one together. The following data points represent the number of jars of honey Sandy the bear consumed each day this week. 0, 4, and then we have our numbers. Okay, so we need to make our frequency table. So we need to find the smallest number and the biggest number. And we're going to start with our smallest number, 0, and go all the way up to our biggest number, just like last time. 0, 1, 2, 3. Oh, it looks like I have an extra space down here, so we can put a line through it. Okay. Then we are going to make our tally. 1, 4, 2, 3, 0, 3, 2. And then we make our frequency 1, 1, 2, 2, 1. Now we've got a frequency table. Now we need to set our data intervals along our line down here. So we need to go from 0 to 4, and we need to space them about evenly. So 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we plot our data. So one day Sandy didn't eat any honey. One day he ate 1 jar. Then one day he ate 2. Another 2 days he ate 3, and 1 day he ate 4. We need to add our title, amount of honey Sandy consumed each. I'll just write the amount of honey Sandy consumed. Okay, now you need to pause our video and do examples 3 and 4 on your own on your sheet. When you finish, you're going to click play on the video again. Now that you've done the examples, please go back to your learning goal sheet and circle your after level of understanding about frequency tables and dot plots. Once you've done that, you're going to work on our IXL practice. There is a QR code on your handout, as well as I've put the link on Moodle. You need to do this IXL practice about frequency tables for homework. Whatever time you have in class, you can work on it right now. You need to remember to log in. I will be checking this, and it's absolutely important that you log in, otherwise it won't show your progress. Your username should be your first name, last initial, then the number 92, and your password is math. If that's not your password and you don't remember it, you need to check the pink list on the board. That will have your password and username, or your username written on it. If you have any problems, please email me. Otherwise, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good afternoon.